Hey,
There we
then we're
go.
recording.
All right. Welcome to the virtual brown bag. So today we again don't have a speaker. We're kind of leaving it open. Um, we're gonna talk about some security stuff and some left whatever happened with left bad, some other stuff that's going on. Reminder how this works. We have the I'll just share my screen. How about that? We have the link on the website.
Oh yeah, that website I should update from
Yeah,
time
we
to
have,
time.
we have the meeting.virtualbrownbag.com link on the website. That's what you're joined if you're just watching. In addition, we are welcome to participate. What we ask you to do for that is just click on the slack.virtualbrownbag.com, join in, and there is a link in there where you're certainly welcome to join, and that would be good. Um, just a reminder, we are streaming to YouTube, so don't share stuff that you're under NDA for and that you're not can't share.
Yeah.
Um, that's it.
Yeah,
Let's
guess
get
what I'm
started.
doing right now?
What are you doing?
Closing Atom and
Yeah,
Sublime, work code, and all the
yeah,
web pages are like,
yeah.
if this got shown, that wouldn't be good.
Yep. Shut down a virtual machine. Start another virtual machine. That's
Yeah, switch desktops.
yeah. Hey, we actually have one more upcoming meeting. We need to adjust this because dude, just put like a
I
Google
know.
Calendar.
I'm
in here.
working on it right now. I just opened it up.
All right, because we've got a Aurelia talk, and then I guess we should get back to scheduling talks as well. I'll just try to keep it at 30 minutes. I think that'll be kind of interesting.
Yeah, the guy we're gonna have Saul come today, and I dropped the ball in terms of reminding and talking with him. But the delay in communication with him is also a sign that he's probably super busy on stuff, and he's a big Node guy, so I'm sure last week was super awesome for him.
That happens. Yeah. So let's talk left bad. Do you know what happened?
I know the high, like me and George were talking ahead of time because we do touch Node lightly, and I know sort of some of the ideas, but I don't have the whole cohesive story. I know basically that I know one guy had this library called Kix or Kick, and like someone said that no, that's our brand, and he made it before they had their brand, and he wasn't trying to copy them or whatever, and so they asked him to change it, and he said no, I'm keeping it, and then I guess the guys behind NPM. I forgot how. I thought it changed hands or something, but they basically said, no, we'll give you your library name. And they took it away from him. So he's like, you know what? Fine. And I'm removing all my libraries. And that apparently had some libraries that were dependent on lots of other libraries were depending on those libraries, and sort of just cascade failure of dependencies.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that happened. Yeah. And really his complaint was like, well, they just took it away without my permission, really with barely consulting me. It wasn't even like there was a lawsuit threatening. It honestly didn't even sound like the Kick lawyers were trying to be dicks about it. They were just like, hey, this is our business. And we're like, they're a popular chat client, and they were like, we wanted so yeah, the other thing is that LeftPad was a library for padding left. So, you have the number 5 or something, and you want to say 005, meaning it was about 11 lines of code, and turned out to be a downstream dependency of a whole ton of libraries, including very core libraries like Babel and Node itself, and which weren't, to their credit, they weren't the ones taking a dependency on that library, but they were taking dependencies on other things, which at some point down the line did take it. So everyone's CI build pipelines broke that were downloading stuff. Some people jumped in right away because the other thing that NPM does is when you unpublish something, not only does it disappear from NPM, but the name becomes available for purchase again. For registering again. So some people immediately jumped in and registered some of his names or libraries that were being used, which is a whole major security vulnerability, I notice.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, like so NPM unpublished the package, And then they just today released a statement that they're changing the unpublished policy. You can unpublish stuff for 24 hours after publishing, and after that you have to go through support. And even when if they do unpublish it for you, which is there's no guarantee, they're gonna reserve the name basically with a security package. And so that those are good changes. I did not realize that about the unpublishing policy before that. I would probably have been recommending not using Node if that was a policy before that, like in any sort of business thing.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see, like, on one hand, like, the open source argument is really strong, but on the other hand, like, you have to have some sort of organization behind it, and it's kind of disconcerting that on one hand, the organization had where it's like, okay, we're going to just totally change the name of this library, and then on the other hand, it's this wild west of like anyone can do anything they want.
well, right. I mean, like, but that's not a crazy policy to say, like, okay, once you put it out and publish it, I think most. What does the Elixir package manager do? Like, once you put it out, can you remove it from the package manager?
No idea.
You should find out, because if they have the same policy, it's super not safe to use.
I'll chalk that up to my free time.
No, but seriously, like, that's a big problem. I mean, like, you find someone, say you want to attack a site.
Yeah.
You know, you don't even have to be like a major organization. If you're some sort of organization, you find you look at their dependencies, something in their dependency chain, hit up the author of that, offer them $1,000 or something to vacate their little shitty open source project they don't care about, and then replace it with your own.
Yeah.
And holy crap, you have just hacked the crap out of everything.
Hacked the crap out of left pad.
I mean, it's not a huge. I mean, it's a huge attack vector. It's awful. And I mean, I think it's worthwhile for pretty much everyone to know the unpublishing policies of whatever package manager they use. I know in NuGet they do not allow unpublishing. Even deprecation is difficult, although I think they might be adding stuff to that. But yeah, that's very much worthwhile.
Yeah, you know, increasingly becoming more dependent on these package managers. That because it's almost like the pendulum swinging, because you have. I've seen the case of being up about like why do we need a dependency for, 12-line function? Like if package management, now we have to start. There's potentially security holes in our code and things we have to worry about. Then all these smaller packages are no longer innocuous little things that we can just add. Like there's more consequence, I guess, we need to think about.
Well, there is that, but and I mean, like, honestly, you should review packages, because what happens is, right, when we pull in a package, we might review it a little bit, but the general assumption is any of their dependencies they've reviewed. So, holy crap, people are taking dependencies now on the fact that they assume you've reviewed stuff.
Yeah,
which is and all of that is still yet separate from being able to reclaim names, which is a huge problem, which is an even bigger problem, because even review doesn't help there. I think I like micro libraries. Brian, by the way, Joseph just messaged me that, in Elixir you can unpublish for an hour after publishing, which seems reasonable. Okay. Who's going to take a dependency then? But I think like we just have to keep in mind that with all these micro libraries, that's the trade-off. And for goodness sake, you can implement LeftPad yourself. I saw someone already even just started leftpad.io, which is just a web service. You can go in and LeftPad stuff for you.
Yeah. So, nice. We're sassy group of developers there, right?
Yeah. I think there's an NPM package now that hits leftpad.io.
One more layer. Now they need to make a package manager that installs LeftPad packages that to LeftPad.io in a build script that uses those.
But I mean, honestly, this is like security. This is serious security stuff. that like we shouldn't just be letting fall by the wayside because it is important and we have to keep it in mind. Um, so let's see. Let's try to.
So, have you ever dived deep into like the Open Web Application Security Project, or I've always called OWASP, but I don't know how you pronounce it.
Yeah, it's OWASP. I haven't dived very deep, but I mean, I'll go on there and read a little bit about it. The terminology they use is very security person terminology, which is not regular person terminology. Like they're talking about A1 vulnerabilities and stuff like that, which so there's a whole lingo you have to learn, but I try to like get the main stuff and distill it. I mean, as far as I know, the big ones are still SQL injection, cross-site scripting, and maybe cross-site request forgery or clickjacking, but and everything that they have on their top 10 just kind of breaks down like versions of that, or just hey, your network's compromised. Like it's just different versions of that. That's about as far as I've gotten. So like I've read their articles, I've tried to understand it.
Would you consider that sort of the like a standard for which to review to say like that you're sort of following best practices?
Yes, if you want to dedicate time to it.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to dedicate time to it, so I have I read Troy Hunt's blog pretty religiously. I think he's covered most stuff by now. We'd probably get him on here if we wanted to. Yeah, he's got an awesome blog. He's the guy that runs Have I Been Pwned, which is a service that everyone should sign up for if they're not signed up for it. Basically, he monitors data dumps in like like password dumps and everything, and we'll upload them into it, and then we'll inform you when your email address was captured in a data dump. So it's how you find it. You can go there and you can search for it, and it doesn't save anything about you. Or you can go in there and actually put your email address in and say, email me when you know. And I mean, like, I honestly just trust implicitly anything that's on there. He's written at length, like in very, very good, concise terms about stuff like that. So, you know, when someone like needs to implement a password resource set form, there's an article he wrote about it where he lays everything out that you can do. I forward it. And he does a bunch of courses on Pluralsight, which are very, very nice as well. Everything from like social engineering to like actual like hardcore hacking stuff.
So what's his job?
He was a Microsoft. He did work for Microsoft. Then he worked for he's in Australia. He worked for some big Australian company. I can't remember what it is. And now he's just doing the blogging and speaking full time. I think he still is, like, whatever the highest level of Microsoft MVP is, he's got that right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, flipping through it.
Yeah. So, like, TroyHunt.com, super recommended. Good way to at least keep up to date on the terms. And then, like, you know, read the other stuff every once in a while. Like, there's a local security conference that's regional down here. It's $15 to go. I'm definitely going to go just to, like, hear the ways that they talk about stuff. At the very least, because they are all very eloquent about why their jobs are important, and I want to be able to convince like clients that no, security is important and you should pay for time for it.
Yeah, I have security friends that keep me up to date and do twists, and I always have my curveball I throw them because they'll be talking about stuff and like, you know what that is? And I was like, yeah, I know how cross-site forgery and it's SQL injection. I go, do you know what MVC stands for? Yeah, that's what I thought. You know, like come on, dudes, pick up some of our terminology and language and stuff. Let's get going. But
they just run Python scripts all day. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I program Ruby, and I look at the script and I'm like, you just curling some stuff and parsing a log is not necessarily the same thing.
No, but I mean, like, the stuff that they do know about is very, very impressive. Like, it's just awesome. Yeah.
So I want to hit one thing too with this, because the reason it came up as we were discussing idle timeouts in our stand-up even this morning. And I was curious so the idea that if someone's logged in And how long should we check on the server that their session is idle before we require them to log in again? And they have some recommendations, and so I was just kind of seeing, have you ever done something like that? And what?
Nope.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, yeah, I understand in general.
We have sensitive data. That's why.
Yeah, sensitive like medical data, but
Yeah.
idle. Oh, like I guess if they walked away from the computer and stuff like that.
Yeah, we have like it's not HIPAA stuff. So this is not related to patients.
Yeah.
This is doctor stuff. Like these are all their numbers and codes and cert identifications that congratulations, now you can order as much morphine as you want.
Wow.
So it's like we need to make sure that we secure this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, what were their recommendations? That's interesting.
Well, the recommendation from the document was, and we're having an audit by a group, a security group. I don't know if I can share who they are yet. So they were recommending like sensitive data is 2 to 5 minutes of idle time, and non-sensitive data was 15 to 30 minutes. And so we're trying to find a good balance because this is the day-to-day job. So being idle 2 to 5 minutes seems a bit harsh because you're like, oh, I need to go to the bathroom or get a drink of water, or like I answered a phone call. Suddenly you have to log in again with two-factor auth. That's going to be.
But you know what? You haven't actually give them the option. Like actually give them the option to say like, hey, I will be AFK for a little while. Don't lock this screen. And with like have a little slide out, or they click, pull it out, and pops out a window, explains why. They click a button, say pause the timeout for a minute. Yeah, there's no reason to try to guess what people will tell you.
Yeah, I think we're gonna try. I'm gonna ask people about like with their desktop scenarios. Treat the web app sort of like a desktop. That like, what is the general corporate best practice for how long someone's idle with their computer before they lock it? Because I think
sure so many companies it just doesn't do that.
Well,
I've never worked at a company where they've done that.
I guess I have. So
I mean, yeah, I know it exists, but
yeah.
I don't think that's common.
Well, I'll ask and see what I get back. I'll share what information I have and what we end up doing.
That's interesting.
Two-factor auth was pretty easy to implement, and I'm surprised how like that's a big win from the security guys so far. And it seems to make sense.
A two-factor auth only works as far as nobody steals your cell phone, or that your cell phone works. Like my cell phone yesterday, the SIM card, it suddenly stopped reading the SIM card.
Well, then you couldn't get into our system, George.
I couldn't get into anything. So, but like seriously, like wouldn't you need like a backup for that? Like the doctor can't not write any prescriptions.
Well, they have you can get web browser integrations since we're using Authy. It doesn't have to have a mobile app.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
So it's not that it's a perfect prevention. It's just one additional layer, which I think is better than the security questions that you sometimes get asked.
Security questions are nonsense.
Yeah.
You know why security questions are nonsense? They're actually worse because nobody ever encrypts security questions. So when their database gets stolen, all the security questions aren't even encrypted, much less hash. And the security questions frequently reveal personal information someone can use to impersonate you for other stuff. Like,
that's a good point. Hate those things. Terrible.
Yeah. And if you let someone enter their own security question, then they're just going to put in their password.
That's right.
That's why. And nobody ever encrypts it because you got to.
Yeah, because you don't think about it, I guess.
Yeah.
Be on a standard encryption. So like we do. I'm not an ops guy, but we do encryption at rest with Postgres stuff. Like, is that common or people don't do that step at all? Like, does SQL Server have that option too? I imagine it does.
So I mean, your database itself is encrypted.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have that option. The medical app that I worked on. That's the way. I mean, I talked to our sysadmin, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm just going to send it up to encrypted." I think it was on AWS, so it might have been just like encrypted hard drive or something,
okay,
rather than encrypted database. But who cares at that level? The connection would be encrypted and so on.
Yeah, we're the audit we're having. Also, we had to tell AWS like, "Hey, these people at this IP address, they're going to try to
Yeah.
wreck our
Right.
system. So good luck with all that. Don't freak out.
Yeah, and I mean, like, that's really good. Like, I recommended that in several projects I've been on. It's like, no, you really need to hire someone to like pen test it, to like be in the red team, because I don't know. I mean, I know the basics, but, and I mean, like, all these other people working on this project don't know the basics. So, um,
Yeah.
and that's
Selling it is kind of hard too, because on one hand you have, well, not selling it, but like that, having that conversation to manage expectations. Because on one hand, you're working with business types, clients, and customers, and so you're like saying, yes, this is secure, blah blah blah. But then you're like, we're gonna have this group going to audit the stuff. They're going to find stuff. I mean, that's their job, and they're experts at it. You're not an expert at that stuff. They're going to find stuff. And so then it's trying to manage that expectation, have the right thing to be like, I said this was secure. The audit came back with a list of stuff. Like it is secure. Like these are just lists of things that they found.
Well, that's the thing though. Like if they are paying for the audit,
yeah,
they are expecting to find stuff, right? Like at least that you can set that expectation when you convince them to pay for it.
Like, I have confidence in people. I don't have confidence in customers.
But that's the thing. Like I would make them pay for it. Hey, if they find if you don't pay for it, don't roll it into your budget. That way, they're finding stuff. They're feeling like they're getting something for them.
That's true. You go by looking.
Yeah, and then and then if they're dragging their feet on it, you give the whole speech was like, yeah, but if you get compromised, you lose your entire business. So what's your risk model here?
Yeah.
That you don't want to pay for it. Yeah.
I like that sales strategy from security. Like, okay, if you lose this data, it will cost you $3 million. So what's paying $150,000?
And we
should use that same thing for sales for like software startup. If you don't have software, you get no revenue. So why don't you pay us 80% of your revenue?
It's some percentage of projects fee. No, but I mean, and I mean, like when I went to the security conference, they like have like all these like diagrams, like examples of exactly that stuff. And I don't forget, like at some point, it hasn't happened here. It hasn't happened yet, but at some point, some contracting company is going to get sued for writing shit with bad software. Like that's going to happen.
Yeah.
With bad security. I actually can't wait for it to happen. Like it'll be good. Get people up on their toes or something.
I don't know. I just lately seeing more and more of that in the security space, and my concern always with it is, it's sort of like it's fine with the audit, but then like I want to see what the results are and what they say, because also part of me would be like, if you audited it and something bad happened and we lost, $500,000, are they liable or exposed to any of that? And if not, then like
I think the laws on that are changing quickly, especially if your client doesn't need business in Europe. I think they're probably getting ready to start holding people liable.
That's my thing is like I don't want to bankrupt these companies for a mistake and stuff, but I also want to have it where like you can't just like I feel like there's some sort of liability has to be associated with it that because if someone gets an audit and they get a list of things and they fix those things, but then they attack some other vector or something that they could have found, I think there is something inside there that
but the bar is so low.
Yeah,
the bar is so like we can set the bar low, very very low, and still like fund like Moldavia's national GDP with the fines from this. Like you can do this.
Yeah, I guess I'm bouncing out the like, look, if you're, but it's still like I completely agree. Like they can't be totally exposed because like somebody's gonna find some way to put in there. But on the flip side, you can't have a security audit that costs. I'm making up figures here because I want it to be totally off. I don't want to, but you can't have a security audit that maybe costs $15,000 to $30,000 and cause an additional amount of work and it miss something important and that group just walks away with the money going, oh.
I think you absolutely can. I mean, yeah,
Well, then isn't that the
it
business
will.
you want to be in? Because then just like, well, you can just if you can find stuff and not find stuff. What
I
doesn't
mean,
matter?
that is the business we are in right now as developers right now because we're writing this stuff. And oh, there's a glaring security vulnerability. Oh well, like that's what we're doing right now. Like I know your stuff is probably good. My stuff is mostly good. I've taken over projects where I'm like, look at them like, well, yeah, there's a login form here, but like I could just go, I could type this into the dev console and it just lets me in. Like,
Yeah.
like that's
We saw recently one of the competitors had a we were looking to secure like to share these documents securely, and I was like, well, how do they do it right now? And take a look, and they use secure email, which is good, but the link they put inside there is a public URL. That once you have the URL, you can get access to all the doctor's documents. I was like, well, that's not good, you know. So it's stuff like that. Yeah, but what do you?
but
I
even
mean,
that's still pretty good. The
yeah,
fact that you still have to get into the email.
yeah. They still have to guess, but
So one
it's
of the
sort of
things I wanted to show, I do want to show
yeah,
a cross-site scripting thing.
yeah.
So have you ever heard of Beef Project?
You mentioned it, and I looked at the
Yeah.
URL, but besides that, that's all I know.
All right. So let me minimize this so we don't have just your face. So Beef Project is I'll pull it up. It's a cross-site scripting platform. And this is probably going to terrify people. I actually haven't tried this in this exact setup yet, so we'll see if it works. But so basically, it's a Ruby app that helps you attack people. I mean, it's for penetration testing is what it's for. Obviously, it's all the terminology is obviously about that. Totally going to be used by every hacker in the world, but whatever, they would have something anyway. So I'm glad that this exists. So I want to kind of show it a little bit. So here I have a live CD with a VM on it running. So I'm going to go ahead and start Beef. Take a couple minutes to run. Come on. Yeah, someone's yelling out on the street too.
That's it. New Orleans, right? I mean,
Yep.
What
Yep.
you can do?
Just walking by screaming. All right. So Beef server started. So we've got a couple things here. 127.0.0 to 13000 UI panel. So let's go 127.0.0.3000. Was that not it? TP
6789 is your
I'm sorry, 192.168.0.19. Yeah, that's the local.
okay.
One 192.68.0.19. Right. All right. I should copy that because I didn't want to. So I'm gonna go in here. Type. I think it's beef by default. All right. So it kind of pops up to this thing: online browsers, offline browsers. So I've got a little web server running right here. Actually, look at this. Let's start fresh. Start. Just a very, very simple Node web server, which has like a guest book app in it.
Okay.
And it is started? What's going on? It's weird. Oh, it's just being slow. There it goes. All right. So there we go. It's going. So here's my little app, and I can go ahead and say it's posted. There we go. We get our little notification that says that. Okay, cool.
Your color scheme is brilliant.
Thank you. Cool. So the way that this is working right now, let me go ahead and show it. It's very, very straightforward. So when you go ahead and backend, just storing in MySQL, you get a JSON, and then we're basically just go ahead to create element of LI, putting in their block quote message, site name, and then appending everything to that UL. So nice and simple there. Nothing crazy. Not even using any frameworks or anything like that. All just basic browser stuff.
You should totally make your clear function, 956 micro library.
Yes,
So that
they
everyone can depend on it. Yeah.
Everyone can depend on it.
Yeah, it does one thing and does it really well.
Yeah. No, I should make it a microservice, honestly.
Yeah, there you go. Obviously.
.io.
Obviously.
So what if we submit something like this? Let's see. I'm going to grab this /hook.js. So what I'm going to submit in there is script. C equals hook.js.
That's not good. My palms are already sweating. Like, why are you putting a script tag in things?
I actually have not tried this, but this should work.
You should have left out the end. This will.
All right. So I put it in there, and we can see my message, and it looks like a regular nice message. Let's see if we can.
Good.
Oh, is it working? Uh-oh, it's not working. What's going on? Did my message get screwed up somehow? Huh. It looks right, doesn't it? Let's see, does that, what happens if I go to that link? Open link in new tab. Yeah, no, that's it.
Okay.
Let me just refresh the page. Let's see what happens then. That is weird. Why is that happening? Not seeing. Request made for it. Did I do something wrong? See anything wrong in my syntax? No. Script src equals.
I always have to look and see what script, because I always get confused with the link because I do it just one time and then I don't know. Yeah. Didn't you specify the type at all in it?
No, that shouldn't be necessary. Maybe. I don't know. Well, let's start with this. You know what? I'll just put it on the page for now, just to demonstrate what I want to demonstrate, and I'll figure it out. I swear that looks correct to me. Okay, there it is. That's a hook.js. Okay. So now I should be able to, okay, go in here. I see my browser. So first of all that information about my browser that gives you.
Okay.
Second of all, let's go in here and see what we could do with it. Well, this is like the most obvious one. Let's see. Social engineering. We're going to do petty theft. And we're going to say, okay, go ahead and launch this attack. So what's going to happen is here that it pops up, oh, the Facebook session timed out. Well, my Facebook session timed out.
That's just round.
Yeah. And now I go in here. Check it out. Look at that. There's all my data. Just store that. Google phishing, clickjacking. So what this will let you do is, you have stuff. You have little pop-ups which require people to click on stuff, and then over the top of them, you set in opaque, not in opaque, transparent iframes, and you adjust the position in such a way that when people click on a button, they're actually clicking on some site, purchasing stuff on Amazon or whatever. That's a nice little option. Let's see, what else can we do?
I think I saw a coworker and he's saying that someone was tweeting with the idea that like, oh, you want to buy this book? Cool. Click. Done.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see my order history. Whoa. You're going to need a login.
Yeah. I mean, like, all right, iframe logger. I mean, there's stuff like it'll prompt people to install extensions. So red means it won't work by default on this particular browser. Green means it will totally work. Gray means it might work. That's kind of the way it works.
What is phone gap? What was it? Oh, because like they're on the phone or something?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it can make it beep. Yeah, because you can trigger geolocation, right?
Start recording audio. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, let's see. Will this actually trigger anything? Yep, allow your location. Oh yeah, sure, why not?
Sure, why not? Yeah.
There you go. So if you get your location and all that from sneaking a cross-site scripting injection vulnerability on there. Get all this stuff. So Beep Project is super freaking cool. Turn on the webcam.
More thinking, well, hey, start recording audio. Like, oh, I could just do that already.
Well, yeah, but if you run the page.
Yeah.
But basically what cross-site scripting essentially is you stealing the trust that someone has with another page.
Yeah.
And that's it. And yeah, like if I trust this little guessbook page and no reason to suspect it,
definitely.
Yeah, I mean, this is all stuff that someone could do when they just visit their page, but now you could put it into, that business app that you're doing, and people just trust it implicitly. Or maybe they shouldn't. There's stuff in here. I've really only scratched the surface, but there's stuff in here where it'll prompt you to, like, for example, install extensions. And if you install extensions, well, now they own your entire browser.
Yeah.
It gets crazy.
So I see as install extensions isn't working, but how? I mean, couldn't you? I guess they're taking a look at how they do it, but couldn't you add a DOM element and click to install it? Like, what's?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how it does it, but like I know. So I mean, like they could certainly prompt you to install an extension.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. This module detects if any of the top 1,000 Chrome extensions are installed. Okay, so these are more like checking for extensions, like steal cookies.
I guess maybe if you're looking for a specific extension that you can exploit, you can see, hey, they already have this, then I can.
Yeah. The one of the ones they have in here, I don't see where it is. To see if you've visited a site before, which is super interesting because what they do is basically. How do you check whether you visited a site? Like you don't have access to that from any JavaScript API. That's a security vulnerability. But CSS will color stuff differently depending on whether you've opened a site or not. So what it's going to do is create an iframe with a link to that site, and then test what color the pixels in that iframe are.
Because then you already have the CSS kind of, I guess.
Yeah. Beep hook will stay until the user leaves. Yeah, I don't know what half of these do. We could try them. Not that I'm running a VM or anything, but we could try them. Detect Google Desktop. That's kind of cool.
Because depending if you're on the Chrome laptop or something.
Yeah, I'm not running Google Desktop though, so it's going to say no.
Well, that's interesting. It's good to. I mean.
Yeah. Not installed. Way to detect it.
So a lot of stuff is avoided with the idea that you put the script on the page itself. So we need to avoid having this.
Yeah. Well. Okay. Yeah. So
what are the defenses we have in place for this?
Here we go. First of all, use a library. If you're using Angular, React, even Handlebars and Mustache, they'll all handle this for you. lots of people think it's as easy as, just take anything with a search for a slash script, right?
Yeah.
And just null out that slash script, and then you're fine. Well, not really, because not really, because someone could still I'm not going to put a slash script on there. I'll put something like img src equals doesn't exist, and then on error equals JavaScript. Colon, blah. Like, there's a million different tricks, and you really shouldn't be trying to guess it by yourself what they are. Okay, those tricks. That's not something just happening. If you are not doing that, and this is actually what I recommend most of the time, though, if you have those, go by all means. Let's go ahead and just build it up. So it's the same solution as with SQL injection. Let's say that. With SQL injection, the solution will use prepared queries, parameterized queries, but realistic, what that's doing conceptually is giving the browser enough information giving the SQL enough information to make the choice itself. So when you send the database a SQL string, it's not like it just grabs that string and starts executing and does what every language does. It parses it into an abstract syntax tree, so it knows what the atoms are, which are the units in there, and it starts executing from there. Well, when you send a parameterized SQL, you're sending it things and saying, no, this is an atom. This is a specific thing. It's a value. It's not multiple values. And it just can plug that directly into the abstract syntax tree rather than having to parse it, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not being parsed separately. So same exact type of thing. All right, let's say we do const q equals document create element quote, right? And then we go ahead and say bq dot text content equals message. And you know what? Let's go ahead and simplify that. I mean, we would say const create element equals tag content. All slow. Everything's being slow because of so we could shorten that a little bit and say create element right, and then we do li dot append child bq dot append child site, and that's going to work now because now it understands. Hey, this is you can even see right here. Note.
Yeah.
It didn't write that in because it interprets that when you're setting text content, it knows that that's an atom. I mean, it still even appears like, with the script, with the brackets and everything in there, but it's not going to execute it because it knows it's text. It's a text node in the browser. And I mean, that's the fundamental solution. If you're doing stuff like, now, if you're doing stuff like Mustache, it will text escape it or something like that. But that's fine. But like, this is the foolproof way. Like, give the browser information.
So React does that automatically?
I believe React will do this automatically because React is working on the diffing algorithm. So I haven't looked at what it does internally. I would be really surprised if it doesn't use the text content property, because why the heck wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It knows what needs to be text. It just needs to tell the browser, and it's invoking the APIs at some point. It's not like it's setting inner HTML all the time. One thing I will do want people to note for people, because lots of people think this, and I've actually seen this on like MSDN, like them recommending this. Like I was reading some Signal R article, and they were like, "Oh, don't make sure to escape stuff." So what they're like, okay, you have some, so you want to escape message. So do this: document.create element give d.text content equals message, and now you can go ahead and get const escaped equals inner HTML. Like something, use that to escape stuff.
Yeah.
No, because for the same reason that Angular-based script is not the only way to execute stuff, and that's not what this is for. This is not meant for escaping stuff. It will work to a degree in the same way that sanitizing SQL input will work, but at some point that's not what it's meant for. It will. There are definitely attacks, XSS factors that you will miss, and you're screwed.
That's clever programming right there.
Yeah, that's trying to be clever, and it's wrong. So yeah, I wanted to kind of show that, and you can see now it's showing my browser's offline.
So what are you using this for like right now? Is it something you discovered and just play around with, or is it?
Yeah, I've been looking at it. I've actually one of Troy Hunt's courses, he mentioned it briefly. I was like, what? That sounds fascinating. So I've been kind of just playing around with it. I've also I'm kind of helping out with a local code school, and like I'm not teaching security. I'm not a security expert, but like giving them like a lecture on like, look, SQL injection, cross-site scripting. You do have to know about this. You do have to pay attention, and so on. So I'm give that to them. And so kind of putting this together as just a very visual demonstration of how screwed someone can be if you do this wrong, right?
Yeah.
And it is a neat project file. I think it's a great way to learn this stuff. That's for sure, right?
And you know what I'm thinking when I'm seeing this?
Yeah, I'm
thinking, is this a desktop app or a web app?
Well, it's the server's a desktop app. It's an the admin panel is it's a web UI, just like everything nowadays.
Yeah. So that's the valid question is like, and you have all the web tools at hand, and you opt to make it look like a desktop app.
Yeah.
Because
who do you think? I mean, how slick do you think they really were like the design skill crowd that was writing this, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm just like, surely we could have opted for a different pattern. Like, oh, it allow Twitter Bootstrap. I'll allow
it. And what is weird, I'm pretty sure it's an all Ruby project, so why it looks exactly like Microsoft Office is weird to me.
Yeah, like a WinForms or WPF app. I'm confused as to why that was opted.
Not even that. No, this is Microsoft Office, straight up. Like, look at the colors. Anyway, so yeah, I wanted to kind of show that. I'm gonna keep playing around with it. Hopefully, find some other stuff with it. But, did I just crash it somehow? It's still in alpha, but
crash all the things.
Yep. Crash the admin panel. Oh well. Watch out for cross-site scripting, everyone. Don't let it happen to you.
And knowing is half the battle.
Yeah, exactly. And then now I have to figure out why initially that didn't actually work. Yeah. Sure, it's just missing something. Actually, maybe block quote works differently than I thought it did. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It should have worked, you think?
It really does. Yeah, it really should have.
The idea was still the express. It got expressed. And it's concerning.
Yep.
Our frameworks do a lot for us.
They do, and we need. I'm sorry, but we need to understand what they do underneath the hood. It's just not optional. Sucks because that's a lot of stuff. Cool. That's.
So a few weeks back, you showed Wallaby.js. Do you use that in your day to day?
No. Well, I don't do Node in my day to day.
Okay.
That's the issue.
Yeah, I was trying to get set up with my project, and I was having some issues, and so I was just going to get feedback on some stuff.
Well, I mean, it's set it up before, but what issues were you having?
Not working.
We're using it with you have your wallaby.conf file and everything.
Yeah. So that part was fine. Like I paid for a license, everything else was working, but it wasn't.
Oh, you paid for a license?
Yeah.
All right. Well, did you contact them because they should be?
No, because so it's more of an exploration of could we use this in a side project and stuff. So I did a spike or two, and then I have other things going on. Yeah. Revenue, it's a thing. We need to have it so we can keep the lights on.
From people that have used it professionally, I've heard that their support is incredible. Like that they'll get right back to you. It's not like a huge company or anything. It's just a couple people. So.
Yeah, well, we had the existing Ember app and those explorations. See, can we do we have some issues we've run into, and so we're exploring using React. And part of my selling for React is that we tried getting Ember tests to set up and work, and it just wasn't happening. I mean, we had someone who's I don't want to use a name because I don't want to mess up, but I would define him as a front-end Ember expert to come in and help us. And it was like 4 hours into it, and he basically just had to go, and we didn't have a single passing test. And I was like, this is not good. and so meanwhile, I was like, fine. And so after that, I immediately switched over and started messing more on the React stuff, and I had passing tests that were easy to use and create in like an hour or two. And I think it's more of a factor that not so knocking Ember. I think it was like it's just way they're both set up. Like Ember, you have to learn Ember. And with React and stuff, it's a lot more just knowing how JavaScript works.
Yeah, which it's still a problem for a lot of people, but yeah.
Yeah. So that's how I feel some other problems with some coworkers, like having a problem with Ember. It's like, man, he's a good JavaScript guy. If this was just ES6 or just JavaScript, he would have already done it. Like it would have been nailed out. But since it's Ember, you have to think about it differently.
That's a whole other thing, yeah.
Yeah, so...
which I still hear is much better than Angular. I haven't looked.
Well, yeah, the new Angular, I just see the screenshots. I still want someone to walk me through it and give it a shot. I believe in giving things a fair shot, but the stuff I look at, I go, no thanks.
Oh, no, I'm talking about Angular 1.
Well, you're wrong on that, George. I thought we've already established that you're wrong on Angular 1.
Right. Do complex things in it.
I have. I've built plenty of complex apps, and it's awesome. You just want purity in the code.
No, I mean I want to know when should I be attaching stuff to the controller or the scope? Okay, wait a second, because there's both are recommendations. Okay, I have two directives applying to the same element. Each one of them, I have a controller method in there, but one of the controllers seems to completely override the other, and none of the properties available on that one are even there anymore. Like, stuff like that. It's like, this is dumb.
I've never done two directives on the same element.
It'd be so, yeah. I mean, you have an element that's a directive, and you slap an attribute directive on it. And
I guess I'll have to figure out where... Yeah, I never use an attribute directive in terms of that.
Yeah.
So I can see where that might be a little bit weird.
It's just driving me crazy. There's so many design decisions they have where I hate the whole templates thing the way they do it, but that's more of a preference and the fact that I kind of think that it's important to know when your stuff is going to be loaded and have fine control over it, and not just let the framework figure out the HTML files, but not the other files. The other files you get to control and have to figure out your own thing for.
You complain there, it's like Webpack. How does it work? I'm like, magic.
Yeah.
coolness.
Yeah, sure. You can stick Webpack in there. Let's bring a whole other thing in there. But I mean, the thing is, they wrote loader code. They wrote asynchronous loader code because
Yeah.
that's what loads the templates. But then they don't let you use. They don't write a module system. They just wrote just the template code that works like that. Like, what the hell are they thinking?
They're thinking, and what I like about it is that I can ship the hell out of things. Not worry about it.
Like, yeah, you just have to kind of know all of it
Yeah, yeah.
at every single point. Ugh.
And Claudio decides to join us at the very, very end
Hey, Claudio.
because he can't tell time in Brazil.
Welcome to the
Well,
last 3 minutes.
It's party time all the time.
Yeah, no. What happens is that there was the end of DST here a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't realize that. So for me, the meeting wouldn't start in another hour, and then I got the email from Slacker saying the meeting had started. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah. There you go. See?
Crap.
Well, you missed our
so-
talk on security and stuff.
Yeah, you can watch
so-
the review though. It's good stuff. I think eye-opening in terms of we hear about it, but then sort of seeing all the ways you can be exposed by not cleaning up that input, and
Yeah.
the asterisk of George perfectly is like, don't clean up your own input. like there's people smarter than you that have done this,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah. Or just let the browser do it. It already knows what it's doing.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I know you had some things you want to talk about, Claudio. We'll probably just save it for next week.
Yeah, let's do that. So now, so as I see it, there's a 2-hour difference now. So,
Yep.
yeah. Okay, good. So, yes, if it started an hour ago, it's a 2-hour difference that I was not even aware of.
All right, so vote for JB, world dictator tyrant. Step
That's
one on the
right.
platform. No more time zones.
Yeah,
Right.
we are-
Done.
yeah.
What's your step two? After that, peace and
Profit.
harmony. Pax Romana. No time zones. Everything will be great.
Well, this is a good ending to the meeting. Just talking about time zones.
I hate them so much. I actually gave up a project because of time zone.
Wow.
It was such a pain in the butt that I was just like, I can't figure this out anymore. I'm out. I've got other things
UTC
to do.
everything and convert at the end. But no, it's don't.
Yeah. Well, because it's Rails and Ruby, the way they do time zones in particular, it's kind of a nightmarish game of, I call it telephone, because the database is trying to store it and do the right thing. Ruby's trying to do the right thing, and you have Active Record also trying to do the right thing. Then you have JavaScript and different browsers all trying to do the right thing, convert it for you, and you're just like, look, just leave it alone. Like, it's a very
Well, yeah, no, you ship it around as a string. Why not? But
Yeah.
as an ISO string. But I had a whole thing with it struggling 2 weeks ago, where I had like, okay, this period runs until this time, and then on a server I was saving stuff in UTC, but then when I'd send it back, like at certain points in time and certain days, I would get a period of like 0 days length because it'd be coming back and there'd be like some sort of hour left over because the server was sending back a time zone and JavaScript was grabbing it and trying to do the right thing. Like, no.
Yeah. Like, if it's UTC, just leave it alone. Just leave it alone.
Yeah. Want to deal with it in UTC.
That being said, Moment.js is pretty awesome.
Moment's great. It did not help me. It was doing the exact wrong thing here because it was getting back a time zone and converting it locally for when I stringed it. And just didn't want that.
Well, Elixir Phoenix Land, we're going down the same path of Crazy Land because you have Erlang date time, then you have Ecto date time, and then you have Timex library, which is pretty good. But then a coworker referenced me another time library is supposed to be better, and I'm just like, we're doing this again, guys. It's Ruby all over again. It's like I actually like the Erlang format a whole lot because it's just simple. It's just this is what it is. And I think that's what the new library actually does. I have to double check, but I don't think they try obfuscating it. It's just functions on that format, which makes sense.
If you want to hear a good rant on time zones, search for computer file time zones. That one's awesome.
Well, on that.
Yep. On that note.
On that note, I'll see you and be sure to try to get Saul next week. So 30 minutes of Node talk.
Yep.
And then we'll get into the normal brown bag stuff.
Yep. Cool.
All right, guys. Talk to you later.
Bye.
All right, bye.